Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Bright Funders Talk at Temi. Now, Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to our podcast where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. And each week, we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry, and today we have an amazing guest joining us, Tal Borenstein, Director of Engineering Workflows at Elastic. Hello, Tal, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Barry, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
It's lovely to have you here, so thank you very much for taking time out of your day. I know you're busy, and for those people who don't have the pleasure of knowing you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the company that you work at?
Sure. My name is Tal, as you said, Director of Engineering at Elastic. I'm from Israel, right now sitting in the Elastic office in Tel Aviv. My story begins in 2012. That's my official career start. I started as a software engineer. That's where I come from, engineering. I've been working in the industry, mostly focused on cybersecurity companies for the last decade or so. I was a founding engineer at a couple of different startups. And lately, I founded a company called Keep, which was an open source AI ops, which stands for AI for Operations company that was acquired last May by Elastic. And today I build the workflows solution here within Elastic, a workflow automation solution within Kibana for people who are familiar with the Elastic Stack.
So, had you always wanted to create your own company?
Yes, it's actually quite a funny story, but my co-founder Shahar, who we met back in the days when we basically started our careers together. It's in the Israeli Defense Forces, to be honest. We had this very magical click from the very first moment, and I remember was 13 or 14 years ago, where we met for the first time, and it was kind of magical. We always spoke about starting something of our own at some point, and our ways kind of diverged at some point. But we always stayed in touch, and always kept this dream that we had to start our own thing one day. And when COVID started, we actually got to the tipping point where we said, okay, now it's time to start companies. Companies were starting all over here in
Yeah.
Israel, and we thought it might be a good time for us. We didn't do it back then because we had other opportunities to come back and work together once again, as founding engineers in another startup. But yeah, it was something we always dreamed about, and we had the pleasure of doing it together. So yeah.
There's something special about Israel, isn't there? I've interviewed a lot of people on here, CEOs, co-founders, founders, and Israel is one of the company that keeps coming up. There seems to be a good place to start up a company. What is it specifically about Israel that makes it stand out? Because it's definitely punching above its weight, right?
Yeah. I think it's a mix of things. First of all, it's the Israeli Defense Forces, where it's like the edge of tech, intelligence corps. You do amazing stuff that I guess nobody, or at least minimal amount of people in the world get to see. Here in Israel, it's mandatory, so there's a lot of opportunities in here to grow and learn from the best in the world, which gets you very proficient, at least in the cybersecurity space. That's one thing. The second thing I think is there's something special about Israelis, and there's a word for it in Hebrew. I don't know how to
Mindset.
say it. Yeah, it's a mindset. It's called Israeli chutzpah. It's like I can be very blunt with other Israelis, and therefore it makes it very easy for Israelis to just reach out to anybody they want, ask whatever they want. We don't have like a muscle in our tongue sometimes, so it makes it very like direct, and it helps you when you start a company, because if you're coming from an engineering background, for example, and you now have to go and do sales or learn go to market and those kind of things, it makes it very easy to first ask for help from other people, but
Mm.
also directly approach them and try to sell your thing. So I think it's like the ecosystem, the IDF, the Israeli chutzpah, all of these make it very not easy. It's not easy to start a company here in Israel, but definitely gives you the right launch pad
Mm.
for startups in here.
That's amazing to hear. So let's talk a little bit about the company. So people might be listening and kind of wondering what actually Elastic does. Could you just tell us, like in layman's terms, what the company does?
Yeah, so Elastic or Elasticsearch, as many people probably know Elastic as, is basically a database, very fast database. It's I would say one of the first free text search database engines in the world. It was founded by Shai Banoun, who is the CDO of the company today. It's an open source database engine with Kibana, which is the applicative layer on top of it, which is also open source and actually the largest TypeScript repository on GitHub as of today, I think. Don't get me by the word here. But basically, Elastic today offers three solutions or three products. One is a security product, a SIM engine. The second is observability, so a complete observability solution for companies. You can think about it as a Datadog alternative, Grafana alternative, I don't know, Dynatrace and those other vendors. And the third is Search, Elasticsearch, which is the solution that lets you build on top of Elasticsearch, whatever it is that you're building using the very strong capabilities of the database itself.
So there are a lot of competition out there in the search space. What would you say makes Elastic's approach to like search and analytics unique?
It's a good question. I would say, first of all, I think there is domain expertise that is still moat in the world, and I think because Elastic is there for so long, building on top of open source structure, and the fact that it's built on top of Lucene, which is a very famous search engine, an open source search engine, and the fact that we're doing it for so long makes Elastic positioned and also benchmarked as one of the strongest search engines over there. There is Fortune 500 companies building on top of Elasticsearch scale that usually takes a lot of time to get to for startups, for companies who just start. So I think Elastic is still positioned as one of the strongest search engines due to this fact. Amazing engineers keeps on improving the search engine over time. Uh,
So how has it improved over time? Like when you first set out, you obviously had a goal in mind. Did you achieve that goal, or did your goal actually move as the company developed?
First of all, I would say I'm not in the position in the company where I actually work on the search engine. That's the Elasticsearch team. And as I said, the company is built with three different solutions. So I think at some point the company grew up from just being a search engine to actually offering more than that, like the
Mm.
observability solution and the security solution, which are a very strong offering of Elastic today. So I think the company evolved into offering solutions on top of the very strong search engine that it has built. in terms of how it evolved from the search engine side, you just have to look at the past and see how benchmarks improved and how Elasticsearch Engineer just keeps on pushing the capabilities of that search engine further and further. And I think you can see it both on the contribution on the open source Elasticsearch repository, but also the fact that a lot of Elasticsearch engineers are actively contributing to Lucene, which is the engine behind Elasticsearch that makes Elasticsearch run. So yeah, I would say like this is the part where you see Elasticsearch grow and the Elasticsearch engine grows, and the fact that Elasticsearch also moved to offering other solutions built on top of the that search engine, which proves that there are businesses that can be built on top of the Elasticsearch engine.
How is AI changing the way that organizations like interact with and extract value from their data?
Oof, that's like the hottest topic in the world right now. There's something I started talking about recently over LinkedIn, and a thought that I have in general. We're shifting away from what used to be the standard back then in startups, at least, where you'd go, you'd find some business, you'd build a great user experience on top of that, and you go and sell that. That solves someone's problem. They now have a beautiful UI where they can just go click on buttons, things happen, and everybody's happy, and we're shifting towards something I'd like to call agent experience. And you see that very strongly within Elastic, where we now try to think about everything as if not only humans interact with it, but actually agents interact with it as well. And it starts from adding, but from the simplest thing we can think about when we have product definitions to stuff we want to build. We make sure that we don't only have a definition of done for humans, we also have a definition of done for agents, and it's something that we can test and make sure that AI is now capable of understanding what we're building and capable of consuming that. And it goes into building MCPs and building CLIs and making sure that the data that we expose to agents is optimal, and it fits the context that we want to provide, and things along those lines. And I think the last part of it, which connects everything, is how do you create that new agent, or we can call it like user experience 2.0, where you understand that a human doesn't only click buttons, but it actually interacts with the data. So you have to provide a good chat experience, for example, on how do you let the user query its data using the very strong capabilities we have, providing context to that chat experience, but also being able to provide and visually show users what they're interacting with. So
L-
this is how I see this shift.
how do you make sure like you don't overwhelm users with data? You know, that just give a data dump and say, right, there you go, there's the data. That's what you wanted. How do you refine it, or is there any refining that you do? Like how do you do it in the background?
That's another good question. There's a few aspects to that as well. One is relevance. How do you make sure that data people are searching for is actually relevant, and this is what they want? For that, there is a whole department taking care of how do you actually apply those relevance algorithms to data people or agent search. So that's one aspect of it, and the other aspect of it is as I told you, I think that agent experience or UX 2.0 is not only about, okay, how do we let the humans or the agents interact with the data, but it's also how do we show them the data nicely. And I think there is a whole new concept for that, which is called generative UI, which not only exposes a chat experience where you can go type, your agent understands your intent and then goes and builds the query and brings in the data and just shows it to you plainly, but it also lets the agent understand from your intent, how do you want to see the data, and then lets you filter the data or display it in the way that you'd like to see it. That's where we take both the relevance, which happens on the search level, and then we take the human, which wants to interact with the data, and we connect the two and let the user see and get the data they want in a nice way that works for them.
What would you say the biggest challenge is when it comes to like building like a modern data stack, or in terms of like retrieving information?
It's the same problem like we had before AI, but now
But
it's like
different.
a magnitude larger, where it's, it's exploding data. The problem with AI today, and where we start seeing AI drifting, is the fact that you have a context window, and that context window should have the relevant data in. When that context window overflows, or it's filled with bad data, then your AI starts hallucinating, or your agent doesn't answer what you want, or you start getting bad responses. And I think with the amount of data that AI generates, that's a problem that just keeps on growing. Now, LLM providers, they make the context window bigger, or they improve the capabilities of the models themselves to understand what's a relevant context or not. But I think it's like a mouse and a cat. They keep on chasing each other. So I think that's a problem we used to have before, where you have tons of data. You now need to understand how can you remove the non-important parts and only keep the important parts. But now it's a magnitude higher problem. I would say that for this kind of problem, Elasticsearch is really positioned well, because we let you basically ingest whatever you want. We don't care about the amount of data. That's the scale I was speaking about before. You can just store everything, and we will make sure we give you only the relevant information or the things you actually need. So you don't start planning on, okay, how can I remove unimportant parts from my data, or munch it in a way that I will only store what's relevant for my context. But we actually let you store everything, and we do the other part with pre-processing, process processing, and filters we can apply when you get the data, and things along those lines.
How do you balance like innovation with reliability, especially like mission critical data? Are you like a bit of a daydreamer? Is there lots of things that you would love to put into this, but actually the practicalities behind it just mean that it's not going to exist? Or are you very pragmatic minded and know exactly where to kind of like not stifle your innovation, but probably be more realistic or pragmatic?
It's a great question, because it's a debate that you always have when you are a small startup like Keep was before, where you run very, very fast. And usually, when you still don't have a lot of big customers, you don't really uh, care about. You always care about it, but like if you put it on a scale like innovation and reliability, then I think the innovation scale is always leaning towards innovation. And then you just build stuff, you ship them to users. Sometimes things fail, and you have to go fix them, but you can still do it very fast. And therefore, it's nice that you can build and run fast, and fix reliability when reliability issues pop. And that's something I felt really strong over at Keep before the acquisition. Here at Elastic, I think there is a lot more weight on reliability. But the fact is, I think we were able to bring a startup mindset here into a larger company, where reliability is far more important, at least to the bigger customers, of course. And we are able to balance both the part where we try to innovate and run very fast and introduce new concepts into Kibana and Elasticsearch, while also making sure that we keep them very reliable, tested, being done on the best side of things. I would say if I have to judge things by the like if we look a year back, and I look at Keep and the pace and the quality of things that we were building back then, and the improvement of models and LLMs over the past year, I think nowadays the amazing thing you can see is that you can still innovate and run very fast, but also have very high quality of things that you produce. So I would say the world today and the tools that you have to build things today allows you to run fast, be innovative, but also make sure that those things are very reliable. And of course, for companies like Elasticsearch, which could be on the critical path or the critical mission of companies, it's very important to make sure that what we build is actually reliable and scalable.
So one final question, if I may, just before we finish, Tal. So you obviously you built your own company up. It was acquired, which shows how successful it was. So if someone's watching this and they are thinking of starting their own company or they're in the early stages, what advice would you give to them, having been on the journey that you've been on?
So yeah, I have one thing that always pops in mind, and I think it's been a mantra for us because we saw the two sides of the coins, if I could say, is when we were working in startups before Keep, those stuff. It was a situation in the market where companies were growing in a crazy pace, with both, I would say, the market, but also on the headcount. And something that we told ourselves when we started Keep is we're gonna stay very lean. We're gonna hire only the people that we really, really, really feel like could change the world for Keep if we bring them in. And the company wasn't very large when we got acquired, and I think that worked very well. What we can see nowadays is keeping companies small, lean, very mission point is something that worked very well. I think my 2 cents for entrepreneurs or people who start their companies now is hire smartly. That was always the thing I could say to companies, but now moreover, hire smartly, stay small, build efficiently. You can do amazing stuff with just a few technical folks now, or even not just technical, but just a few folks on your team, and it sets your company in a much more attractive way for companies such as Elastic, for example.
Perfect. That's great advice, Tal. Listen, Tal, thank you so much for speaking with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you too, Barry. Thanks for having me.
That was Tal Borenstein, Director of Engineering Workflows at Elastic.